Hello, how's everyone doing tonight?
Well, Dave, I gotta say, we're doing fantastic, and I can't wait to interview you about your show called Spaced Out Radio and talk about your personal sighting of an alien as an experiencer, and also talk about your multiple Bigfoot sightings, your paranormal investigations, and specifically an alien named Carl. My name is Beth, this is Shed Show Talk, and I welcome everyone to join the conversation by hitting the subscribe button and hitting that notification bell so that you can join the conversation.
I am someone who has my degree in broadcast journalism. I spent 10 years in the mainstream media, as well as I am an experiencer as well. So when I was out searching for answers to try and figure out what was going on with me, I had it recommended that I dust off the old microphone and get back into the game, which led to be the creation of Space Out Radio. And we broadcast on a couple of terrestrial stations in the United States, as well as a lot of online networks, but mainly all your information can be found at spacedoutradio.com.
Thanks, Dave. Well, that tells us a bit more about you. For those who are looking at the screen at the top left, they're going to see a drawing of an alien, and I'm hoping you can tell them who that is.
Well, that is a little bit of a definition of who we call Carl around these parts. Carl is our, how can we put it, our resident mascot, where on April 20th of 2015, while I was broadcasting a show, we were about 17, 18 minutes into the show, and in my old home where I built a studio, it was at the front of my house, and I was talking to a gentleman named Harvey Kraft that night about Buddha, of all topics. Yeah. And the next thing I know, as he's getting into one of his answers, I put my microphone, as I'm asking a question, I saw something move out the window out of the corner of my eye, and I put my microphone on mute, let Harvey ask the question, and I turned to see who or what was outside my window, and about 7 feet away was a dark-eyed gray alien.
What? Where was this? You've got to tell me where this was.
This was in Mission, British Columbia.
Oh, so you had a Canadian bona fide gray alien sighting?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Was this your first experiencer moment?
No. This was the closest I had ever been at that point, and it scared the living daylights out of me because you just don't expect to swivel in your chair and be looking into the eyes of a gray alien. We call him Carl around these parts.
Carl with a K, or does Carl prefer
he prefers a C.
He prefers the C. Okay, so Carl with a C. What alerted you to Carl, first off?
Well, my wife and I always had a house that we always allowed, like the door was always open. You know what I'm saying? So it was not a big issue for friends to be coming over at 10 o'clock at night for coffee, or to chat. And we had a really good group of friends that would, just pop on by. And so because my studio was built out of an old bedroom at the front of our house, it was right beside my front door. So seeing whatever it was that was moving outside, my first inclination was, great, we have friends coming over. I have a little yappy dog that takes about 20 minutes to stop barking. And me being what I like to consider a professional in the radio business, it really doesn't make it conducive to a broadcast when you have dogs barking in the background.
Yes, I understand.
And so I was quickly trying to figure out what it was, because I knew there was someone there. And I just swiveled in my chair, and on the other side of the window were the big black eyes and the big gray face.
Was there anything glowing, or was it...
No, not at all. No, it was a very matted type look. We made eye contact, which seemed like forever, but was probably around 4 seconds when my mind finally recognized what it was. And then I kind of jumped back in my chair because it kind of freaked me out. And by the time I pulled myself back together, which was another couple seconds, and I looked out my window, he was gone.
He was just gone like that. So it was a quick
Yeah.
sighting. Have you seen Carl since?
No, but I've heard him and his friends in my backyard.
Oh, how so? I'd love to know about that.
If you remember the movie Signs,
Yes.
you remember on the walkie-talkies they were hearing this
Yeah.
clicking type sound? Yeah, a few weeks ago I actually had that happening in my backyard and up my driveway at the same time, like a conversation.
Wow.
That was kind of cool.
So as in more than one clicking back and forth, correct?
Yes, there was two of them.
Two of them.
Yeah.
And do you see any kind of like aerial phenomena around these?
No.
Interesting. So there's no displacement of light. There's no stilling. I've heard some people describe it's almost like time stands still around them.
No, Carl and I'm going to say, I mean, it sounds so ridiculous, but we have this love-hate relationship. And people who are experiencers and multiple experiencers will understand what I'm saying, is that when you have an experience, you learn to pick up on the energy of things.
Yeah.
You know, what's positive, what's negative. And I knew that night that Carl was coming back. I could feel him. I could absolutely feel him. I wasn't ready for his two buddies to start chatting away with the clicking sound, but you know, it's something that I think for all of us, we try and put these puzzle pieces together, trying to figure out with some sort of, you know, skeptical mind on what the actual reality is of the situation. And knowing what I felt before from him and feeling now at this time, you know, it's pretty obvious to know that it was him and his buddies coming around to say hello.
And is Carl hanging around right now, as far as you're aware?
Not at all, no.
Not interested, eh? Not
No.
much into the talk
No,
show?
that was the first, when he came back a few weeks ago, that was the first time I'd actually felt him since the night I saw him at my window.
Wow.
I live up north in a small community called 100 Mile House. And there is a lot of things happening up here. The town was built around the legendary Gold Rush Trail during the gold boom of the 1800s. And there's a lot of murder. There's a lot of mystery around these trails that only very few of them still exist. And for people who don't know that, the Gold Rush Trail started in California, Nevada, and went straight up through to the Klondike in Alaska as prospectors started invading the West looking for gold. And there was a lot of gold with it. And at that time, it was quite the lawless land. And up here in Canada, it actually led to the creation of the Northwest Mounted Police, which is now the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. There is a lot of things happening. My town is also infamous for the Miriam Delicato alien abduction back around September 30th, 1988. And that is one of the premier alien abduction stories in North America as well. And there's a lot of Sasquatch sightings around here. So we have kind of run the full gamut of UFOs, aliens, cryptids, and paranormal ghosts when it comes to everything.
Have you had any more insight into the 1988 abduction case that you referred to?
I think I found the spot where it happened.
Oh.
And I haven't had an opportunity to investigate it yet. Miriam is a good friend of mine, and I've met her since I started up Spaced Out Radio. We've developed just a real loving friendship with each other. And you know, when I was looking for the area, I actually had her on Skype camera, and I had it out the window, you know, trying to see if she recognized everything. But the hard part is that when she had her abduction in 1988, you know, everything has kind of changed. They shifted the highways. They made the highway 4 lanes, and so there's been a lot of shifting in regards to that. So, you know, one of these days I look forward to her actually coming down here and us getting together to go actually look for the place where it happened.
Oh my goodness. Definitely keep me posted, and if you ever need another investigator, definitely let me know.
Absolutely.
So I have a question about Carl.
Sure.
Do you believe, some people do believe that gray aliens are sentient beings, other people believe they're organic future AI. There's a different spectrum of belief about what a gray alien is. Do you believe Carl is a gray alien? And if so, what do you think being is?
Oh, I think Carl is completely alien. I think he is, from what I've learned from ET contactees who have been able to read his energy, I have found out that I wasn't supposed to see him. And in fact, from what I've heard from a couple different sources who do not even know each other, that Carl actually got in trouble for doing what he did because a lot of times they're not supposed to be seen. Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that he did that for intentionality? Was that a maturity decision? Was that simply
Maturity decision that was wrong on his part.
so perhaps you don't see him as a rogue explorer willing to take risks, but more
No, apparently, from what I've heard from my contactee people, and I've got this from about 3 or 4 different sources, was that he, when the show is broadcast, it's broadcast all throughout the universe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, what happened was he was curious over what he was hearing and wanted to see what was up with it. So that's what happened.
So he came to you because he's a fan of your show.
Could be. I don't know.
This is interesting. This is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say it's broadcast out to the world, are you talking about radio waves? Are you talking about a specific format that you use? Because we have some technical listeners that are very intrigued by sound waves and various things.
From what I had heard, at the time we weren't broadcasting terrestrially. From what I have heard, ETs have no problem picking up on internet waves. Mm-hmm. Okay, because their technology is so advanced. So, from what I have heard, he was able to pick up on that signal.
Oh my goodness, that's so fascinating. So, within that person's realm of professional interest, is this a common scenario that they encounter? Was Carl a new scenario?
They had heard it before, but it doesn't happen often because from what I have heard, the Greys are very regulated, pretty much not supposed to think for themselves.
Okay, so
and Carl's curiosity kind of got the better of him.
I see. So then he was, according to this psychic medium with experience and contactees, that Carl would be then essentially rogue or perhaps slightly rebellious and therefore capable of independent thought and action from the alleged control of gray aliens. Is that correct?
Well, he is a biological entity, and we have to remember that there are numerous species of gray. Mm-hmm. Right? Some are, like if you get the artificial intelligence ones, or the scientists that are just hired guns, so to speak, you're looking at ones that aren't going to, push the boundaries of what they're sorry, that's my Pepsi. They're not going to push the boundaries of what is supposed to happen, right? Because they're on their mission and that's what they are supposed to do. But there are also biological gray type beings out there that do have a human type curiosity.
So how many types of gray aliens are you or your sphere of influence aware of? And how did they come to that knowledge?
Oh, goodness. I'm gonna answer that very vaguely by saying that the people I talk to are lifelong ET contactees who've had downloads, and how they come up with it, I have no idea. But when you get the same message from 3 or 4 people, then you have to, think there is something to it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, definitely, when there's a confirmation of observation from multiple sources, it's definitely something intriguing. And I've spoken with a lot of people who have had encounters with unknown beings, whether they're supernatural or alien in origin. There are so many questions I have about Carl the alien, about Dave and his many Bigfoot sightings, about the paranormal activity he sees in northern Canada, because there's a lot of it, and there's just so much I want to ask him, but obviously we got to do more videos. So what I want to do next is show my favorite comments from our viewers section this week, and this is our way at Shed Show Talk of appreciating those of you who take the time to post your intelligent comments, to generate conversation about what's out there, what we're seeing in the skies, and what we're experiencing, and what we're hearing other people are experiencing. And so stay tuned and see if your comment has made the section. My name is Beth, and this is Shed Show Talk. This first comment is by Daffa David, and I read this a few months ago. It was actually on our John Lennon video, and he talked about an incident from 1966 that he still remembers, and he says to this day nobody's been able to explain it to him. Well, you know what, Daffa David? Send it to us and we'll take a look. Next up, we've got Vivian Baskerville, and she had commented on the Elvis video, and she wanted more in the series. You know what, Vivian? I'm working on it. Let's see who's next. Okay, Tim Michaels. He's one of our moderators, and I just gotta say, Tim, a huge thank you for bringing your colorful commentary to our channel. You definitely get people talking, and we appreciate our moderators. Let us know if you want to be a moderator. Next up, we've got Rayso11, and she asked, when is the next Shed Show Talk live debate? And this was the series we did called Deep Talk, and you know what? If you like it, subscribe it, and share those videos, because we respond to our viewers, and if they have a demand for more interviews, we'll definitely make them, because we like doing those interviews. We like the deep subjects, but right now we're not seeing a huge interest, so share them with your friends. Let's get the conversation going, and we'll definitely get more Deep Talk interviews. Anyhow, you know what, guys? My name is Beth. This is Shed Show Talk, and it is time for me to sign off. Thank you for your feedback, and thank you for joining the conversation.